Hello and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the Smart Device application, Today in History, What Happened Today in History, Historical Calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to the sources, the music, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar description below. Anyway, I am A.O. Xander.
I'm Scott.
And today is Wednesday, also known as Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. So, Mr. Scott, why don't you do the honors of starting us off today with the first three articles?
All right, you may have to start because is it the third one in the script bar?
The third one is Des. It should say the TDH scripts channel. It's the first link. So it says today's historical events, and then famous birthdays, and then
got it,
and then who died. So I put the links in order.
Right, so are we starting the first one, the Roman Emperor?
Historic event.
Yeah.
In the year 70, yeah.
Okay. So starting with historic events, year 70. Second Temple in Jerusalem set on fire by Roman army under Titus during the capture of the city, approximately.
Yeah.
That's way back there.
Yeah. Dang. So, Second Temple of Jerusalem. Wow, you have a pretty significant time jump here.
I'll say, like, over 1,000 years. Okay.
I would say 1,427 years.
So, 1497, John Cabot tells King Henry VII of his trip to Asia.
Ah. Look at that beard. It looks like
that's
looks like Grandma's chest, you know?
What is that saying about 1492? Isn't there like some...
Yeah, in 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Yeah, so I guess it's around that time.
Yeah, well, that's 5 years later. So.
Yeah, I guess that's what they did. They were just all traveling on ships back then.
Well, yeah, Columbus discovered America. He actually landed in Central to South America. We figured this out a couple days ago, actually. My dad and I, we both thought he at least made it to Florida, but no. He was mainly in, the Caribbean and Venezuela.
Oh, wow.
The various places, because he made more than just his first voyage. He went back and forth, several times. But yeah, and that's what made me so confused. Why do we call Native Americans Indians? Because they're not even of the same area that Christopher Columbus landed in, thinking he was in India. So... And maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe this Asia in quotations, because I'm wondering where did they actually go. Maybe they thought they were in Asia, but they were actually in North America.
Oh, I mean, possibly, right?
Yeah.
If you do some research, I mean, I could see that.
Actually, where did John Cabot land? 1497. Let's see here. And, of course, the internet is lag. Okay, here we go. Newfoundland. Okay, that's a bit north. So, yeah. In 1497, he sailed west from Bristol, hoping to find a shorter route to Asia, a land believed to be rich in gold, spices, and other luxuries. After a month, he discovered a newfound land, today known as Newfoundland, in Canada.
So he just missed it.
By half the world, yes. Yeah. Anyway, you have another article here.
Okay, so 1585, English Queen Elizabeth I signs Treaty of Non-Such, aid for Netherlands.
Interesting. That's a weird name for a treaty. Treaty of Non-Such. That sounds like they're not giving it the respect.
Like nonsense. It's like nonsense or something.
Yeah, or it's non-such. Such and things. It's non. Yeah. So it sounds like a. It sounds like a throwaway treaty as far as the name is, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Treaty of Not So Much.
Yeah. Aid for the Netherlands. Yeah. So, I mean, we got to pay attention to the Netherlands, you know, especially like, you know, when you're in the shower, you gotta soap up the Netherlands, you know, or what's called the nether reaches, you know. Yeah. Moving on up into 1628, Swedish warship Vasa sunk in Stockholm, killing 30. I remember that. Sweden actually was a decent military power back in the day, and the King of Sweden commissioned like this major, like, this was basically like the juggernaut of the time. This was like going to be like the big bad boat in the water, you know. But like, he kept making changes and everything, and he doesn't, like, he was not a nautical engineer, so he doesn't know things like, you know, buoyancy and ballast and, you know, stuff like that. Even before we knew what it was, we knew what it did. You know, like, so, but he kept doing things, and then so immediately when they launched the boat, it sank. Like, and it was.
Can you imagine that picture, that beached picture, that gigantic ship? What a sight that would be.
Oh yeah.
So that seemed like a big waste what you're talking about. They made that huge ship, and it just did not work.
It didn't work, and the people building it knew that it was going to fail, but, like, you know, what are you going to do? Say no to the king? What are you going to do? Tell him that he's wrong? You know? Like...
Subordinates, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, this is the major problem with you know, monarchies and everything. Like, and in any form of, like, you know, like, if you're like, you know, if you're a politician, like, if you're a leader of a town or a city or a nation or whatever, if you're in any position and you have people under you that is afraid of you, you're doing things wrong. Because you need people to tell you no, you know, to keep you in line, you know? You're not God, so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like not an ego-driven person, because the more egos they have, it's just like it's hard to go anywhere with them.
Yeah, well, you know, case in point, it bit Stalin right in his ass. You know, because, like, you know, because Stalin did what Stalin did, everybody was terrified of him, and after he had his stroke, his very own surgeons didn't touch him out of fear, like, you know, if they did something wrong, like, he would kill them, so they just, like, let him be, and then he died. So because of the fear he gained that supported his power, it came back to literally be his undoing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're all people, you know, like, you gotta be humble, like, so.
Agreed. That's tough. I'm seeing a lot less of that nowadays, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, now we're probably seeing a rise in it with the whole Biden regime and all that stuff going on, and, you know. But anyway, moving on up into 1675, King Charles II and John Flamsteed laid the foundation stone of the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. Cool. I think we were talking about this, actually, the other day, weren't we?
So they started that observatory quite a while ago. So that must have been a nice start.
Yes. The Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. Let's see if it's even still around. It should be. But my internet is lagging a little bit, so... While that's loading in...
Yeah. I was watching a bit about observatories and them trying to study space, and just how much goes into those lenses to look like as far as possible, and we're not even like scratching the surface of space yet. And that takes a lot of effort and a lot of money to put those things up. So they'd have to like get the funds and just the support to do all that stuff. So if you don't have people on board, we're not looking at space.
Yeah, well, that brings up like something else. By the way, I have a picture of the observatory here. It's pretty small, actually. Big windows. Look at that. Those are huge windows. Oh my God, dude, those are 2-story windows.
I wonder if they added on that little brick square part later, or that was original.
Maybe it's an add-on. I'm not sure. Like, there's a bunch of these weird, you know, roofs, and then this is obviously an observatory dome, I think.
Looks like it.
Yeah, this definitely is up here. But anyway, no, like, remember that radio telescope, like out in Jamaica or whatever, like that huge one, like, you know, that's built into the ground, that collapsed a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard about that, like, I legit, like, teared up, because that's a huge loss. Like...
Yeah, they just didn't maintain it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's also, like, you know, it's on an island right next to the sea, you know? and
Yep.
and it is antiquated, so maybe they just let it fall apart, and they are rebuilding it. So maybe they're rebuilding it with modern technology and everything, because we've retired Hubble and we have the James Webb telescope or something right now.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of them. I mean, they're in a few different countries, but yeah, that's one we have.
Well, no, the James Webb telescope is one in space. Like the Hubble, but the Hubble was built 40 some odd years ago, and technology has advanced since then. So we've recently put in a new space telescope up there, and we're decommissioning the Hubble.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, in 1776, during the U.S. Revolution, or the American Revolution before the U.S., word of the United States Declaration of Independence reached London. Oh boy. Here we go. Next three are yours.
Starter. Gaslight, fire starter.
Yeah.
1787, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart completes his chamber piece, Ein kleine Nachtmusik, a little serenade.
Nice.
Yeah, I looked into a little bit of classical music stuff. I mean, I like kind of some of the music they had back in the day, because I'll be sitting and listening to some pieces like, I don't know, I don't even think, as you can see, some of these names are in a different language, so I can't remember them all, but yeah. I'm just thinking about what it would be like sitting in there back then, listening to that, because that was basically like their technology sort of back in the day. It was music.
Yeah, it was legit entertainment,
Right.
What happened in 1792?
Okay, 1792, a large-scale insurrection against the French monarchy occurs in Paris.
Ooh, oh boy.
Was it? Was that, what was that insurrection like?
Huh. I think a few people lost their heads.
Probably.
Oh wow, look at this guy. This is also 1792.
Should I read it?
Yeah, this is your third.
Okay. Also from 1792, papers from the Tuileries Palace proving the Comte de Mirabeau had secret dealings with the court. Are revealed.
Uh-oh. So that's probably what sparked that insurrection that you just read, because
treason.
Yeah. Well, not just treason, but a full-on revolution, because French with their revolutions and everything.
Yes.
This is actually just shortly before Napoleon, because Napoleon took advantage of all these revolutions, united the country, and then went and used all of that energy against the rest of Europe. Moving on up into 1888, New York Giant pitcher Tim Keefe signed a 19-game winning streak, or set a 19-game winning streak record. Interesting.
That's some old baseball right there. That's like Black Sox era.
Wow, look at that hat, dude. That is old baseball.
Yeah, that is some old era baseball right there.
That's like original baseball. 1893, Rudolf Diesel's prime model internal combustion engine, a single 10-foot iron cylinder with a flywheel at its base, ran on its own power for the first time in Augsburg, Germany.
I wonder if that's one of those engines that have a spinning wheel to start it. I don't know if you know how,
hand crank?
A hand crank, yeah.
Yeah, no, it has to be, because, this is...
They're like choofing.
Yeah.
They're like chooch when they run.
Yeah. This is, this guy, Rudolf Diesel, he's the inventor of the diesel engine. Hence the name.
Makes sense.
Yeah. This is this is the start of the Industrial Revolution, 1893.
Yeah, right out of horse and carriage time, pretty much.
Yeah. In just, 20 years, we'll be in the air. 1913.
That's true.
Yeah.
After many trial and error attempts.
Yeah. 1904, Angelo Giuseppe Roncalli, the future Pope John the 23rd, became a priest. All right. Or Angelo Giuseppe Roncalli. Then we have polio. 1921, FDR stricken with a paralytic illness at summer home at Canadian island of Campolio. At the time, it was thought to be polio, but it could also have possibly been Guillain-Barré syndrome. So that's interesting. So yeah,
and
1921.
they're in like iron lungs.
Yeah. Let's see here. Guillain-Barré syndrome is a rare disorder in which your body's immune system attacks your nerves. Weakness and tingling in your hands and feet are usually the first symptoms. These sensations can quickly spread, eventually paralyzing your whole body. Dang. That's frightening.
Seems scary. Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, well remember FDR, he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, yeah.
What happened in 1933?
Okay, so 1933, U.S. National Championship Women's Tennis. Forest Hills, New York defending champion Helen Jacobs beats Helen Willis Moody with a score of 8-6, 3-6, and 3-0.
I think that's retire, so like Reds. So maybe that's her like retiring game or something.
Yeah, not sure.
I don't know. I haven't seen that before. Ooh,
also a really old picture.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that hat. Like
the hat and just the hairdo, like.
Yeah. It looks like her head is a pea, you know?
Pretty much.
You get a Babe Ruth one here.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So 1934, Babe Ruth announces this is his final season as full-time player.
Wow. That's a big call right there.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 1934. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, going back to FDR here.
1941, FDR and Churchill's second meeting at Placentia, Newfoundland.
Yeah, like I first saw Placentia. There's a Placentia, like a couple, cities over. That's actually where I went to my high school. It's in Placentia, but I didn't know they had a Placentia, Newfoundland. That's weird.
Yeah, we got a lot of UK names where I'm from too. I guess they.
Well, Placentia is actually a Spanish name because placid, means calm, like peaceful, and that's also where placenta comes from. Like it's the peaceful, the womb. Your development. It's the peace. So Placentia is like the city of peace. So, but
that's a good thing to know that you didn't know before.
Exactly.
So that's cool.
Oh man, you have an article here about Monty Boy.
1942, General Bernard Montgomery appointed Commander British 8th Army in North Africa.
Yep. Him and Patton just butted heads the whole way. The whole way. If you've ever seen the movie Patton, it really showcases that. From Africa to Italy to Europe, or to France and everything. And then like Operation Market Garden. I'm sorry?
He's the field marshal, so he's going to be doing stuff with all the soldiers.
Yeah, well, like a field marshal is like the British equivalent of a general. I don't know the military, the British. I think they have generals. I'm not sure. But field marshal is pretty high.
They just had a lot of conflicts of interest. You're saying?
Yes. Well, I mean, just in the way their attitudes and how they handle situations. Montgomery is more of a British gentleman. He looks at things more, diplomatically, more strategically, and everything. Patton, is an equestrian. He fought in the First World War. He was like a sergeant, and by the end of it, I believe. But he's all about attack, attack, attack. His nickname was Old Blood and Guts. And there was one point in the war where the Allies only had enough fuel to do one of two operations. Patton wanted to just load up his tanks and just drive into Berlin. Montgomery wanted to do a paradrop into Belgium and everything. Montgomery got his wish, and Operation Market Garden turned out to be a catastrophic failure. The huge waste of resources, manpower, needless deaths. Yeah, we got some ground, but I'm not sure, if we held onto it for how long. But it was a waste, an outright waste. So.
Yep, that's a crazy story. Seems like it would be a waste, and
yeah,
people would not like each other after something like that.
Oh no, Patton hated Monty since like Africa, so. It's a whole long thing. Like, I recommend watching the movie Patton. Actually, I should probably see if I can find it on YouTube or something, because it's a good movie. Anyway, moving up into 1943, Adolf Hitler watched the lynching of Allied pilots. Oh, that is, no, that's awful. And here we go. The man speak of the devil, and he may appear. 1943, U.S. General George S. Patton called an injured soldier cowardly.
Well, that's not a good quote to have in your name.
Well, no, this personifies him. There was an incident where one of his soldiers, had shell shock. He had battle fatigue, post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever you want to call it.
Mental.
Yeah, he was having a mental breakdown, but because he wasn't physically injured. Patton is just well, get back on the front line, you piece of shit. You're not shot, you're not broken, you're
Here's
just...
my take on that. He's not going to be at his full, productivity as a soldier, though.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the only downfall. It's you can push yourself and go out back in the battlefield, but you may not be as good use. So you may as well save them until they're, I don't know. I would think it's just got to be pretty much, at your full capacity to do that stuff in war. Because if you're not, you're going to be getting other people hurt, and you're not doing, your training is off. So I don't know.
No, you're 100% right. But you're looking at it through a 2022 perspective. They didn't know about stuff like that back then. And keep in mind, 1940s. What's the attitude of men? Oh, suck it up. Why are you crying? Just get out there, do it.
True.
They're a lot tougher back then, So.
Yep.
Then, 1945, Japan announced willingness to surrender to Allies, provided Emperor Hirohito's status remains unchanged. All right. So that's when we essentially made him a figurehead, because essentially Douglas MacArthur was the leader of Japan and all of their extended territories for 10, 15 some odd years. I think 20 years actually, before they gave their country back to them. So, what happened in 1948?
1948, Bradman scores 133 Australia versus Ost versus Lancashire, 216 minutes, 17 fours.
Yeah, 17 fours. That's cricket.
Yeah, I don't know much about cricket. Fours, sorry.
None of us do. I don't. My dad doesn't. So that's remember I told you a couple days ago. If you read something and you read it right, but you feel like you had a stroke, that's just cricket. So.
Yeah, I was I had no idea much about cricket, so I'm
yeah, it's confusing.
Imagine being a cricket legend.
Chirp, chirp. What happened 1 year after that?
1949, Ezard Charles. Technical knockouts Gus Lesnevich in 8 for heavyweight boxing title. This is before Muhammad Ali, so this is even.
Yeah.
So. Ezard. Interesting.
Yeah.
Different name.
I know of a comedian called Eddie Izzard. I've never heard of Ezard as a first name.
But yeah, he probably falls into the category of people that you might not remember won a title.
Well, yeah, because this is a thought that pops into my mind. How long is it going to be before people in 100 years from now, are we still going to be teaching World War II? We can't teach all of world history. We're already at long past a point of no return of not being able to teach everybody every aspect of history. Let alone wars or anything important. World War II is a significant thing, but so is everything else in its own rights. But how long is it going to be before, like, things like that are just taken out of the curriculum because it's just too much? Like, we focus on the ancient times and we focus on the modern times, and everything else in the middle is just interchangeable sandwich meat,
Yeah.
So, like, do you want pimento or do you want turkey?
Goes on.
I'm sorry?
We'll see as time goes on.
Yeah.
What they plan to teach.
You have one more here in 1950.
Okay, 1950, Sunset Boulevard, American film noir directed by Billy Wilder, and starring William Holden and Gloria Swanson, premieres at Radio City Music Hall in New York City.
Dang.
Some good actors here.
Yeah. Radio City Music Hall. Famous. 1960, Los Angeles premiere of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh. Ooh, what a movie.
Yeah, I've watched that a couple times.
Which, like, for the blood, didn't they use, like strawberry jam or something for the blood?
I think, because some of it was just in black and white, so it was hard to tell.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, like, the movie not the movie, but, like, that short little video, Dancing in the Rain, or Singing in the Rain, I'm singing in the rain. Like, they actually used milk for the rain because it picked up on the camera better.
Yeah, I think that's always fair weather, maybe.
I don't know.
That's
always...
the movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So it is a scene from a movie. Well, that makes sense. So
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Anyway, 1970, Jim Morrison's trial for lewd and lascivious behavior began in Miami, Florida. Oh, what did he do? Lewd and lascivious. Like,
that could be anything from, like, peeing in public to exposing yourself to somebody. I don't...
lascivious is an adjective of a person, manner, or gesture, feeling or revealing an overt and often sexual desire. He gave her a lascivious wink. So, like, maybe he was just, like, being a Johnny Bravo, Let's see here. 1972, Paul and Linda McCartney and their band Wings were arrested in Gothenburg, Sweden on drug possession charges when the custom official discovered a package of hashish. Uh-oh. That's not good.
Oh, did we just talk about that?
I think we were talking about them getting arrested on the same date but 5 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wow, they just don't learn, dude. Like stop with the drugs, do it at home. Like,
yeah, that's the 70s, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
In Sweden.
Yep. Your turn, sir.
75?
Yep.
So, David Frost purchases exclusive rights to interview former U.S. President Richard Nixon.
That's interesting. Everything's a business, I guess,
So, it's like, I wonder if that had to do with Nixon, where he was like, alright, I'm okay with this guy, so we'll let him buy the rights.
Possibly. I mean, like, he'd have to have some kind of say in, like, who's being allowed to even talk to him. But that's I guess it's not unheard of. It's just like, it's weird because I don't hear about this often. But just like purchasing the rights to talk to somebody. But then again, if you're gonna turn it into, like, a documentary, or, like, have it be part of a production that you're making money off of, then there is litigation and stuff, and God, it's just so complicated. Like,
For sure, yeah.
What happened in '75 as well, same time?
So, PGA Championship, men's golf, Firestone Country Club. Jack Nicklaus wins his 4th PGA crown by 2 shots from Australian Bruce Crampton.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess the guy cramped out.
I didn't even think about making a joke. Cramped.
Yeah, Jack Nicklaus was pretty famous for a long time.
Yeah. Now, one joke I do say, probably too much times, is not to be confused with Jack Nicholson. So.
Yeah, you could make that confusion.
Say, Jack Nick what? Nicholas Nicholson, like. You're talking about the golfer or the crazy actor? Like,
only the two people from each side of the topic would know.
yes. You have another one here in 79.
1979, Off the Wall, fifth studio album by Michael Jackson is released. Billboard album of the year of 1980.
Nice. There's him with his iconic glove.
Yeah, his iconic look in general.
Yeah. His nose is shrinking. He's becoming Voldemort. 1980, Canadian Opens Women's Golf Peter Jackson Classic at the Richelieu Valley Golf Club. Pat Bradley won by 1 from Joanne Carner for her first of 6 major titles. Nice. Let's go on to victory. And 365 days later, 1981, Pete Rose, 3,631st career hit, broke Stan Musial's new National League hit record. Dang.
Yeah, and Pete Rose still has the most hits in now in the record books. I was saying, like, he's got like 4,000 something hits, and any player who reached that 3,000 hit milestone is like hugely successful. So he's like pretty far on the hit list, and we're waiting to see if anyone will break his record at all.
At some point, records just have to stand indefinitely, because we reach our physical peak at some point, as far as being able to do things. So like, if even if you have some guy just being the only batter during a whole game, how long can he do that before he has to retire? You don't see many 50-year-olds playing baseball, 40-year-olds maybe, 30-year-olds, It's mainly a young man sport. Any sport really is a young man sport.
Yeah, it depends. You got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And nowadays there's slightly better equipment, and people analyze everything. Like, there's stuff in baseball like spin rate and just how fast the ball's coming off the bat. So, and just there's other stats that they never looked at. So it's almost slightly different to where it would be hard to hit or do that stuff nowadays, because it also depends, I guess, on how the league is structured. Because they can have the umpire, they'll call borderline pitches a ball or a strike or this and that, and they'll try to get hitters to be hitting more instead of the pitcher striking it out. Because you sell more tickets the more home runs or the more hits you have. So yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you ask, anybody who watches NASCAR, and I wouldn't say the majority, but I'd say a good chunk of the answers would be I'm just here for the crashes, people want the action. So, see here, what happened in 1983?
Same picture from yesterday. 1983, first World Championships in athletics. Carl Lewis wins gold in the men's long jump.
Nice. 84?
84, the U.S. beat Spain 96-65 to win the men's basketball gold medal at the Los Angeles Olympics. Future Dream Team members Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and Chris Mullin featured.
Yeah, and I'm recognizing...
This Michael Jordan and Patrick Ewing were both rookies, and he's showing in this picture Patrick Ewing on the Sonics, which is funny because that was his last couple years in the league. He's not known for the Sonics.
Huh. And then they have Michael Jordan, in the even more recent picture. He looks like an old guy. His beard is gray.
Yeah. Yep.
You have one more here. Oh, this guy.
Billy Martin days. Uniform number 1 retired. Yeah, he was around for a while. A really liked guy in New York.
Yeah, so 1986 in this sense. So happy Billy Martin Day. Anybody who, celebrates it, however you celebrate it. 1986, pitcher Bob Forsch grand slam led to... Oh, wait, it's your turn. I'm sorry.
1986 pitcher Bob Forsch grand slams to lead Cardinals to a 5-4 win over Pittsburgh Pirates in St. Louis. Wow, that's a pitcher grand slam. That must have been cool.
Yeah. And every time I see Grand Slam, I think of the stupid Denny's dish. Like, man, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, it is a pretty good dish.
It is. And the food itself is not half bad either. Why don't you take this next one? Because I almost accidentally took your previous one.
1993, Columbia Records releases River of Dreams. Singer-songwriter Billy Joel's 12th and final, unless he just changes his mind, studio album.
Wow, I love how they do that. Is so snarky, unless he just changes his mind. Like,
I guess that's been talked about with him before.
Yeah. Well,
It couldn't just be like his possible last album.
Yeah. Well, whoever put this entry in, and like working for our source, they're a little catty, like unless he just changes his mind. Here we go. 1993 as well. Good old RBG, not RGB, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg was sworn in as a U.S. Supreme Court justice. Yeah.
Yep, being talked about now with what's going on. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's a figure. That's a figure that people know.
She was like a Judge Judy, right? She was a hard ass. I mean, you gotta be. Yeah. 1996, Bob Dole picked Jack Kemp as his Republican vice president running mate. Bob Dole.
It's like the Dole fruit.
Yeah. like seriously, what a boring name, Bob Dole. Like, God, that's boring. Like, 1997, Atlanta Braves signed Greg Maddux to then record 5-year, $57.5 million deal. Wow.
Yeah, believe it or not, that's Greg Maddux, and he was a good pitcher for a long time.
My apologies. I'm so used to foreign stuff. It's
I'm
just
only
like
just because I know the pitcher from baseball. That's all. Maybe
Yeah.
at least you know what his name actually is.
yeah, like I would have.
So
Yeah, like I would have pronounced it Maddox, but I'm so used to French stuff. So it's just think of Madu, like. But no.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving on up. Sorry.
No, never mind. Go ahead.
Moving on up into 2001, United States and the United Kingdom rejected a proposal by United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan to permit the Iraqi government to use a $1 billion per year to fund infrastructure improvements and to increase oil production capacity. Wow. Yeah.
Well, I wonder when in 2001 that happened.
On this date, I assume,
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
August.
Yeah, August 8th, 2001. So, yeah.
So, right before that. That's weird.
Right before...
September, yeah.
Huh.
Because
You
I
know
look
what?
at Iraqi government and I'm like, huh.
Well, maybe this was all... Because, now I'm thinking, the whole thing, no blood for oil and all that protesters and all that stuff. Because Saddam Hussein in Iraq had nothing to do with September 11th. Osama bin Laden had nothing to do with Saddam Hussein in Iraq. It made no sense. The towers fell. Let's involve a nation, that's just in the area. Why? And then I see this, and maybe it is, about oil monopoly, because have I shown you that cartoon, Tales of an Economic Hitman?
I have not seen it.
Okay, let's see. I'll pull it up here. Tales of an Economic. I'll pull it up here to watch after the show, and it's actually just the whole thing is actually it's a full show, but this cartoon bit gets to the meat of what I want to talk about, involving this, and it's animated. So they just took out this excerpt and animated it and everything, kind of like the American Dream. Which, have you seen that? Have I shown that to you?
What's it? You said American Dream?
The American Dream. It's a half-hour long, cartoon involving the creation of the Federal Reserve and the IRS and credit cards and how taxes are all a scam and everything.
I don't think I'm looking it up now.
Well, we'll watch it after the show, okay?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us what happened in 2008?
Okay. Going down the list.
Well, while you're catching up, I'll take this. 2008, U.S. superstar swimmer Michael Phelps won the 400-meter individual medley at the Beijing Olympics in a world record 4 minutes, 3.84 seconds.
Yeah, wow. I watched that online. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of chess boxing?
They had multiple swimmers, and he was like one out of their team. So they all did like really good.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of chess boxing?
Chest boxing?
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's an actual sport, and there's actual championships for it, where, like, the first round, you play some chess, and then, that lasts for, like, X amount of, X amount of turns. It's not like, you sit there and play chess until somebody wins. You play chess for, like, be it timed, or, like, X amount of moves or whatever. And then you put on the gloves, you get in the ring, and you box for a round. And then you go back and play chess, you go back and box, and the winner is determined by who either wins at chess or who, wins at boxing. So it's legitimately chess boxing. Like,
wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Look that up.
I know. Like when we first reported on that a couple months ago, actually, I was just like, wait, that's a thing. Like, and I thought, they made a sport involving chess and boxing. How funny. Like, oh, it's real. What? Like.
Well, I mean, like, they have a sport that's like the guys just slap each other in the face, and if you're not knocked out, you go another round, basically. Yeah. So I've seen that. That was kind of nuts.
That's so stupid, though. It's just like, how hard can you get?
It's almost like, it's like arm wrestling. They both stand to a table, they put chalk in their hand, and one guy just wails the other guy, and if he can take it, they keep going.
See, here's the thing. When I think of, like, people in that, in that sport, I feel very fearful for their wives, because if they don't feel pain from getting slapped, then oh my god, the fight is not going to go their way.
Yeah, concussions are probably bad with it.
Yeah. Anyway, what happened in 2015?
2015, Google announces its restructure as Alphabet, a holding company with Google, YouTube, Android, and Chrome as subsidiaries.
Yep, that's what I said the other day. Remember, Google just kind of like how more recently Facebook became Meta. They structured themselves. It's just a way, to get rid of the stigma of their old name, continue on doing the same thing just with new colors, and people, oh, it's a different color, it's a different thing. People are just easily confused. Like,
yeah.
And during that. And you've seen this, you've seen the dead internet theory and such. We talked about that the other day, actually. But like during this, restructure, when Google was first formed, and I think I've talked to you about this, their company motto was "Don't be evil." Okay, that's simple. Don't be evil. Flat out. When they restructured. And then Alphabet, is it's the same thing. It's just the corporation that now owns Google, but it's just the same thing. Just semantics. They changed their company motto to "Do the right thing," but do the right thing by who? That's the question. It's this vague
just
language.
Be a mindset, I guess. It's like a mindset thing.
Yeah, because they are doing the right thing to their shareholders by basically destroying the entire thing about YouTube. They've ripped the soul out of it for all of this corporate gains, monetization. They've created an entire industry, because like think about it. 20 years ago, people weren't, what we're doing right now. We're live streaming. People weren't doing that 20 years ago. Like everything involving live streaming and playing games online, streaming that, all these shows, all this stuff on YouTube. Everything, it all stems out of, just, society getting access to this technology and it becoming more normalized. And now it's actually turned into a business.
Yeah, back then you needed a whole separate webcam to do that stuff.
Yeah, and who had webcams back then? That was
Not
expensive.
Many.
Yeah, because you don't need it. You don't need a microphone. Well, if you're gaming, you need a microphone, but you don't need a webcam. But like now, you want to do YouTube, you want to stream, you want to, maybe later on make money out of it. Like, it's turning into a business. And then now you do the right thing by the shareholders, which now have stakes in the business. Meanwhile, you have okay, now you got to censor this, censor that, ad revenue, demonetization, all that stuff.
Delete negative comments.
Exactly. The algorithm. Good old algorithm. It's doing. Yep. They are doing the right thing, not to us, but to the shareholders. So they are honoring their word. So that's the thing. That's the problem. So anyway, getting back into the topic here, 2017, 2017, Taylor Swift testified in Denver, Colorado court that DJ David Mueller groped her. Ew. That's gross. 2017 as well.
I guess he just couldn't help. He couldn't help himself.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, speaking of grabbing things by the other word for cat, 2017, cat, yeah. U.S. President Donald Trump declared opioid addiction a national emergency. Yeah. So.
Why did it have to be him to declare that? It's already been declared probably by other people, but I guess.
Maybe because he was a sitting president, so in order to refresh its validity, he has to say it.
Yeah.
So. And then 2000. Why don't you take these last two here, actually?
Fentanyl never was really a thing until nowadays.
Yeah, and now fentanyl it's all made in China. Like, it's crazy.
Yep. Okay, 2020. Hong Kong tycoon Jimmy Lai is the most high-profile figure arrested in Hong Kong after its new security laws.
I remember that. But also, I think he had some pro-Western sentiment, so that's probably why they went after him, because what makes the world go around? Money. And he's in Hong Kong too. This was during the protests, remember? So
yep.
Yeah, they're trying to knock every pedestal down, of opposition. And he had money. He wasn't on their side, so they detained him. And they probably and that's kind of funny. He was arrested under those new security laws, almost as if those laws were put in there to retroactively detain him. I wonder, You have one more here. Oh God, this guy.
Okay, 2021, Governor of New York Andrew Cuomo resigns amid a sexual harassment scandal, which is very public.
Good. They should put him in prison forever. That guy, piece of shit. No. Anyway, before we move on into births and deaths, were there any articles that grabbed your attention more than most?
Let's see. We went through quite a bit because we jumped through a lot of time today.
Oh yeah.
Well,
there's that John Cabot coming home from Asia
oh yeah,
actually
then we looked it up and figured out how he discovered Newfoundland.
Yeah. It remains to this day Newfoundland, on the east of Canada. So.
We talked about the beginning of the Industrial Revolution with Rudolph Diesel. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah, with his diesel engine and everything. Also, also that warship, the Vasa, sinking in Stockholm, Sweden.
Yep.
And
the one that they built totally wrong.
Yeah. In a word of the Declaration of Independence reaching the UK.
About Patton.
About who? Batman?
Patton.
Yeah, we talked about Patton a lot. In Montgomery and all that stuff. Yeah,
yep.
A lot of stuff happened. When, even after we just read everything, we go back and we look at stuff, it's there's a lot of things, happened. Oh yeah, FDR stricken with that disease that took his ability to walk.
His paralyzed thing.
Yeah.
It was Barré syndrome.
Guillain-Barré. Yeah, good pull. You have a good memory. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna do the split here real quick. So to the show, we are entering births, and once again, why don't you start us off here, sir, in 1729?
Okay. 1729. So we're going to, what is it? Famous birthday?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so William Howe, 5th Viscount Howe, British military leader, commander of British forces in the American Revolutionary War, born in England, D. 1814, which I don't know what D means, but...
Death. He died in 1814.
Oh, it's death, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so wow, so he was the leader of the opposition, commander of the British forces in the American Revolutionary War. But
he lived a while, too.
Yeah, but what about Cornwallis? Was Cornwallis above him? I think so. Lord Cornwallis. So, but this guy was up there. Yeah. Uno mas.
Okay. 1782, Charles Napier, British soldier and Major General of the Bombay Army who conquered Sindh and became its governor, 1843 to 1847. Born in Whitehall Palace, London. He died in 1853.
Look at that beard, dude. I mean...
Yeah, I don't know how they did it back then. They had all that stuff comfortably, those big, long beards.
Yeah, and all those starch suits, and actually before starch and stuff, they actually used to use paper collars, just a sheet of paper, and just put it in your shirt, and there's your collar,
How about that?
Yeah. And then they got into starching and all that stuff, and then now we just have stuff like this, I have a collar, but, I'm not buttoned up and with a tie, Moving on up into 1814, we have Henry Nestle. He was a German-Swiss industrialist, the founder of Nestle, the chocolate company, born in Frankfurt, Germany, dying in 1890. So wow.
Where do they pronounce that name Henri? What?
Henri?
Yeah, I've heard that same spelling of Henry being said as Henri before.
Henri.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a case George, the name George.
Yeah.
If somebody's named George in Mexico, they call him Jorge. Because
True.
It's based off of how that language pronounces that letter.
It's spelled with a J. So.
Yeah, Henry or Henri, George, Jorge, Jesus, Jesus, Mexico, Mexico. So it's just, different, linguistic pronunciations of those letters, provide different sounds.
Different dialects, yeah.
Yeah.
Then he was the industrialist he was an industrialist.
Yeah, he's the founder of Nestle, the chocolate.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. That's what that was.
Yeah. Born in Frankfurt, Germany. So, of course, German, they know their chocolate.
Yeah.
But now, if you take our chocolate out here, Nestle, Hershey, anything like that, it's too sweet. We just pour so much sugar in there. If you give them, if you give a German, a Hershey bar, they'll spit it out. It's just too much.
It's rich stuff. If you've ever had, cacao, it's different. It's or it's more bitter chocolate, or dark chocolate is a different version. Even that's sweet, but
yeah, I've heard of cacao.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a really.
I think I've had it in frozen yogurt or something. Cacao chips,
Yeah.
Yeah. In 1856, we have Edward L. Doheny, was a U.S. oil tycoon, born in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Huh. An oil tycoon. That's interesting. Oh, you have a interesting guy here. Inventor and Zeppelin commander.
Okay. 1868, Hugo Echner, German inventor and commander of the famous Graf Zeppelin during its record-setting flights, born in Flensburg, Schleswig-Holstein, died in 1954.
Dang.
So the more Zeppelins, that was just a big craze back in those times.
Oh yeah, but what did Hugo Echner even invent though? It just said he was commander of the Zeppelin. So, but Hugo inventions. Let's see here. As a member of the film operated by Ferdinand Count von Zeppelin, Echner had to develop the rigged airships in the early 1900s. But hold on a second. Let's see. Does it tell me? He directed the construction of 88 Zeppelins for the German Navy. Holy crap. I did not know they had that many.
He was that guy.
Yeah.
It seems.
But, I thought... Huh. But, I mean, like, I thought there was a guy named Zeppelin, and he invented the Zeppelin. Count von Zeppelin right there. Ferdinand von Zeppelin. But I guess Eckner, worked with him and invented various pieces of the actual, equipment in order to make it work, So,
yep.
So, yeah.
They had to perfect the design.
Yeah. Oh, you have a good one here. Wow.
1874, Herbert Hoover, 31st U.S. President. 1929 and 1933, born in West Branch, Iowa. Died in 1964.
Yeah. Bless you.
Thank you.
The R stands for Republican, by the way. He was Republican Party from 1929 to 1933, so it sounds like he served only one term. And that's right, because, Hoover was not really that good of a president. 29 through 33, the Great Depression right there.
Yep.
And, there's homeless, entire, towns of homeless people. How we have tent cities all over the place? Well, imagine that, but, on a much bigger scale. And those were called Hoovervilles because, of all the depression and everything,
People formed, little cliques around.
Yeah. Oh, no, they actually went out and, built entire, shanty towns. Not just tent cities, but they actually built structures. And, they were their own... thing. They were not under the government. It wasn't a government thing. They were their own thing.
Wow, and they could all just get along and do that. There wasn't any, imagine, I don't know if that would work nowadays.
Well, there probably was crime and everything because, they were all homeless, they were all poor, so you probably, there is no honor among thieves, a dog-eat-dog world, But,
yeah.
But there have been, there have been attempts at communes of, things like that, not made out of, hardship, but actual, oh, hey, let's get together and, make a community. That has worked to some degree in various areas. There's one that's in my mind that I don't know exactly where it is anymore. I think it's out in the desert out here in the southwest. But, there's this commune, where people come, people go. They take care of their own, and it's just, live and let live. Stuff like that.
No judgments, yeah.
Yeah. 1898, Jack Haley, actual name is John Joseph, a.k.a. Jack Haley, American vaudeville and screen actor, singer, and dancer, the Wizard of Oz Tin Man. Oh, hey! It's the Tin Man. Also was in Higher and Higher. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts, dying in 1979. Well, happy birthday, Tin Man. Oh. Then we have Norma Shearer, born on this date in 1902, Canadian-U.S. actress, Escape and the Divorcee, born in Montreal, Quebec, dying in 1983. Huh.
I have seen her in some stuff. It might even be those really early films. What are those called again?
Silent films?
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple in that, something like that, and I recognize that name. I used to watch some old film.
Old, silent films? Or did they have audio?
Sorry, what?
Were they silent films, or did they have audio? Or, did you watch them and there was, a guy in the corner playing the piano? Or,
Let's see.
I mean, what was the atmosphere? You went and saw it in the theater, right? Or...
No, it was at home.
At home, so... Huh.
Well, it looks like she did Marie Antoinette in 1938.
Alright. I think there's...
that's one of them.
I think audio was in films by then.
Yeah, looking up all her stuff, she goes into the early 40s. Probably did something when she was older.
Anyway, who else was born today? Why don't you take 59 and 60 here?
59 and 60.
Yeah, a bit of a time jump.
50 years.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Rosanna Arquette, actress desperately seeking Susan in After Hours, born in New York City, New York, and that is David Arquette's mother, I think.
Ah. You say Arquette, and I think of Ron Artest or whatever, Ron Arnett, whatever his name is, the basketball guy.
Ron Artest, yeah.
Yeah, Ron Artest.
Formerly is now Meta World Peace, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. God. Oh yeah, now he shares his first name is Facebook. So, which, oh my God, dude, I remember like 10 years or so ago, like I was reading some article and some child born in like Guadalajara, Mexico or whatever, they named their kid Facebook. So
wow.
There's actually somebody out there in Mexico where their first name is Facebook, and then now Meta World Peace, Meta. So now we have both versions are people. Oh my God! Like the singularity, like humans man versus machine. We've crossed the line, like in a weird way.
Guess so.
Yep. You have one more here.
Antonio Banderas, 1960, Spanish actor from Philadelphia, Evita and Zorro, born in Malaga, Spain.
Antonio Banderas. Yes.
Yeah.
I know he was in Zorro.
Zorro.
The Mask of Zorro. I've never seen Zorro. But
It's been a while, but I did see it.
Didn't they make a remake of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like 20 some odd years ago. Like it's been a while, but yeah. Anyway, 1967, we have Riddick Bowe. He is a heavyweight boxing champion, Olympic silver in 1988, born in Brooklyn, New York. Oh, don't get many silvers. Yep. Actually, I think that's the first.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's the first silver I've reported on. Like, it's always like been golds or something. Let's see, who else do we have here? Kylie Jenner, 1997, a U.S. model, TV and social media personality, keeping up with the Kardashians, born in Los Angeles, California. Wow. So she went from one trash heap to an even worse trash heap somehow. New Jersey. And Kylie Jenner, yeah. Yeah.
Part of the famous family, yep.
Yep. Her personality really is skin deep. So, and it's removable. So, moving on into deaths. Starting us off in 1900, we have Thomas Elkins was a black U.S. Abolitionist and inventor who held patents for a type of furniture called the chamber commode and the refrigerating apparatus. Died at around 82. So we don't know his actual birth, right? Yeah, it just says birthplace is New York, and he died, on August 10th, 1900.
So is that like he invented some type of refrigerator?
Yes. He had patented inventions and improvements. He began his career as a pharmacist, and after 10 years, trained as a dentist. He was also part of the Underground Railroad, helping transport slaves to Canada. And he helped directly and indirectly raise funds for that, including running a renowned station in New York. So I guess for the Underground Railroad. But yeah, patents for a type of furniture called the chamber commode, and that sounds like a toilet, and a refrigerating apparatus. So, well, I mean, go to the commode, the toilet, chamber pot, so chamber commode. But let me look it up, actually. What is a chamber commode? While that's loading, who else died on the States? Robert H. Goddard in 1945. He was a U.S. rocket pioneer, invented and built the first liquid-fueled rocket. Died of throat cancer at the age of 62. Well, dang. So, the first, liquid fuel. Until then, it was always solid fuel. So let's see here. Chamber commode is a combined multiple piece of furniture into one item and featured a bureau, a mirror, work shelf, washstand, table, easy chair, and earth closet or chamber stool. Okay, so it's like one of those. It's like a multi-furniture unit. That's pretty cool. Like if you have like a small apartment or small living conditions, you know, you can have, you know, one thing that does multiple things. Like
convenient.
Yeah. Have you seen that video of that room that, like, you know, like you can move the wall and, like, you know, like you collapse and expand rooms. So like you have, like, you know, within X amount of space, you have like 5 times the space because you can collapse this room when you're not using it and then use the space for this other room. It's you know, intelligent, you know, way of living.
Sounds wild, yeah.
Yeah. But who died on this date in 1960?
Frank Lloyd, Scottish actor and director. Mutiny on Bounty, Oliver Twist, and Blood on the Sun. Dies at 74.
Dang, Blood on the Sun. That's a hell of a...
I remember Oliver Twist, the book, I think.
Yeah. Please, sir, may I have some more? What?
Oh, yeah. What? Yeah, I remember that now.
That was Family Guy. That was Stewie. And then he pulls out like a gun and threatens the guy. He's like, I don't have to ask him 3 times, do I? Like, and then we do a pretty significant time jump here.
Yeah, that we do. 2002. Michael Hauser, American guitarist from Widespread Panic, dies of pancreatic cancer at 40.
Wow, that's young.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Michael Hauser. That name's somewhat familiar to me. Like,
I don't think I've heard of Widespread Panic before.
I haven't heard the name of the band though, but yeah. Maybe I'm just thinking of Huell Hauser. I don't know. You know. But anyway, that concludes the show. Once again, you can check the underbar, the description, you know, for links that you may find interesting, including but not limited to everything Omni Coalition. We are not just on this channel. We have, like, the Omni Coalition has its own YouTube, a Rumble, a BitChute, an Odyssey, you know, and then the other participants, they have their own, you know, channels, you know, Soens, Twitch. We stream every day at 10 in the morning Pacific time, which is apparently 8 in the morning Hawaii. Then going back on the other side of the clock, it's 11 in the morning Central, Mountain Time, 12 Central, and 1 Eastern. For all of you and all of us, I am A.O. Xander.
Thank you.
Thank you. What's your name again?
My name is Scott. Glad to be here. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Yeah, glad to have you, as always. Anyway, until you catch us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. And until then, toodles. Let's go, Brandon.